no. That's what it sounds like.
I might.
And we are live. So, oh my goodness, it happened again. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I know I ended up with these things that flashed up on my screen again and blocked me. But welcome back to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. And what a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a lot of distractions, pivoting, changing, making all these different things that are happening in your business. And predominantly, it's really, it's all geared around getting back to your business after summer. A lot of us went on vacations over the summer. We were busy doing family activities and other things. Some people kind of steadied the course, but many of us took a little bit of a break. And so sometimes it's really, really hard, right, to kind of come back and to change that mindset once again, coming back after summer break. And how do you shift and move these things around? The beautiful thing is we've got 9 tips that we're going to be discussing in regards to this topic. And then in addition to that, sometimes this allows you, when you take a break away from your business, this allows you to come back and to reevaluate some things and to actually cut out some of the fat, if you will, that was in your business that you didn't need before. So we'll be talking about that in a moment. Stay tuned and we'll see you on the inside.
Well, welcome back to Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you guys could see the crazy chaos before, during, and after the show, behind the scenes and everything, you would die. So we get on here. Well, first of all, we were so late trying to do our topic this week. So Christina yesterday says, how about we do, how to create your business in a summer slump? And I'm like, why your kid, during the summer when your kids are, still at home. I said, well, seeing that all the kids have went back to school.
But they don't in Canada. It's a week into September, and I also am guilty of still being on vacation.
And she was like, oh, the kids started school? I was like, yes. Like, we're 2 weeks in here in Atlanta. And I don't know about you, but when I grew up, we didn't go to school until the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Yes.
And these people literally started on July 31st.
What the heck?
I was like, what? So we're going to be giving you tips today on how to get back into fall.
What day is it? Who's on first?
Yeah.
Get back into your business using a bunch of tips that we're going to tell you.
Yeah. So let's just kind of talk. Well, first of all, most of you know I was gone for a full 15 days. I will admit that was a little too long.
I just was gone for 15 days, and I know that it was horrible because I was gone. And
it wasn't horrible. It was amazing. However, right, there's always a penalty to pay when you're running your own business and you unplug for a while. I did delegate some things. I had some things that were just kind of in motion already, so it allowed me to do that. Gave some work to clients, some takeaway work that they could work on while I was gone
for the summer.
Right. However, yeah, exactly. However, gave them homework. However, right, I still did answer, I think, 3 or 4 calls, during that period of time. I know, heaven forbid. Actually, I didn't even include the fact of trying to get you guys on live on the day that I was away.
I think he was like on the beach or like somewhere.
I went to a playground, this awesome playground.
Hold on, girls, hold on. Guys, I'm trying to hurt. Girls, don't go in there.
The signal only goes so far on a sailboat. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, it only goes out so far. But no, really, it was a great vacation. It was kind of closing out our summer. And that, again, is one of the luxuries of being able to run your own business. Now, obviously, in most cases, at least for me, I'm always coming back and then everything's frantic, right? It's like all hands on deck. I'm working all evenings of the night to play a little bit of catch up. But you do have that flexibility typically when you're running your own business. You just have to plan things out effectively. And so I will say that coming back from that, the very next day, and this kind of comes into our first topic, if you guys want to throw out some examples, but how many times have you came back from a vacation going right into business without any buffer day, right? Have you ever done that? Like Kelly and I.
Vacation from the vacation, because
right.
Robert, I don't want to exclude you because I feel like you might be in this group, but as women, when we go on vacation, we're the ones packing, we're the ones unpacking, we're the ones doing the laundry, we're the ones getting the house back to normal.
I think Robert was doing all the laundry.
I was like,
right. I was doing a lot of laundry. Now, I will say Kelly and I work really well as a team, but I am one of those, those fathers and husbands that's like, I'm all in,
that's
right?
What I figured. I figured you were part of the.
Yeah, and the very next day, even around all my appointments and a closing, right, a real estate closing, somehow I fit in groceries. So I don't even know how I did that, but
Instacart, baby, Instacart.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But anyways.
The dance that we do though, Robert, right? Like that as entrepreneurs, we have to set our own hours and we have to be diligent about keeping those hours. And, I am up here in Canada for a month. And so I can't just like take a month off, And so what I do is I pick and choose the things that are necessary for me to be at. I outsource the rest. I have the conversations when I can. I try and keep it to 2 or 3 days a week that I action pack. And then I have the rest of the time off to spend with my family. But that does get challenging. I've got a Europe trip coming up in September. And I'm just like, how am I going to do this with time changes and all of the things that come along with that? And that's what you're talking about. It's like all the work up front and then all the work on the other side, right?
Yes. And sometimes you have to scale yourself back into it. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like a full entire, buffer day, if you will, or even multiple days, even though most of us need that. But you definitely have to make sure that you have the mindset of kind of like easing back into it. Because, when you come in full force, I mean, Kelly was, back to her job the very next day. I was taking client calls immediately, and I found that it was really hard for my brain to get that little jump start. You know what I mean? To like, okay, I got to get back in business,
too, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Your kids are back in school too.
They are, yeah. So school
like
and everything started.
School clothes shopping, parent-teacher conferences, the big packet of paperwork you have to fill out every first day of school.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, it's a ton of things, right? We came right back to meet the teacher as well that following evening. And you're right. It was filling out paperwork, and boy, don't get me started on paperwork, by the way, because how many times do you fill out the same thing over and over and over and over again? I use those as like lessons learned in my own business, that if I ask someone to do something, unless it has to be repetition so that they become better at it, I really feel like you shouldn't ask the same question.
Made it digital yet, where you just click on a link and you can fill out all the information, and then you find your kids and you can add them to that same information.
Oh, yeah, it's just like a doctor's visit, right? It's digital in the beginning.
Things I would have to, Gage, this is for you. Nicholas, this is for you. JJ, this is for you.
Yeah, it's digital in the beginning, but then you show up and you're still filling out the same stuff over and over again on paperwork, right? Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so obviously, a buffer day is important if you can scale that back in. Another great thing that I will just say, and it probably crosses over into some of the other points that we'll talk about as far as like planning out your week, planning out, that's a great time to do that. So if anything, try to not like make it just hot and heavy the minute you get back into your office, but maybe use that day to reevaluate your calendar and kind of see what's happening, Yeah. But anyway, so the next tip that I just want to throw out there, and I really want, I want your input on this, because we were just talking about this before we went live. And the next big tip is it's a perfect time to declutter, right? When you're kind of coming back into that the new season of your business. And I've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing it, over all of summer, just pivoting, rebranding, doing some different things, repositioning. But you really start to evaluate your business and you go, you know what, I'm spending a great deal of time in this area that has kind of been dragging me down. So what do you have around that? Star, I know you're all about this time and scheduling. So.
Yes. So for me, this summertime, I slept in a lot later, and that was my personal decision. My kids stay up later, and when my stepkids used to come over during the summertime, they would bring all their cousins, and they would stay up really late. So I'm like, okay, it's not fair. Let me let my kids do it too. So they really got to stay up late, which meant that I was staying up late. So I slept in a lot later in the summer, but now they're back to school. So I had to readjust my schedule. Okay, what time am I going to have my coaching calls? What makes sense for me to be able to pick up my kids from school? They get out early certain days. So I had to look at my calendar and assess everything that I was going to be doing and how can I keep my calendar as clear as possible. The other thing that I did yesterday and that everyone should do, and I haven't done it in a while, is I went back through 3 months of my bank statements and I wanted to see, okay, what are all of the tools that I'm currently paying for coaching?
Audit, yes.
I went back by 3 months and I just put everything on a spreadsheet, which I do have a template that I use for that. And I'm like, okay, I'm no longer paying for this, but I'm paying for this. And then, okay, what are some things that I might want to cut back on? What did I add in that is a necessity? Am I using these things? And so that was a really cool thing that I spent about an hour and a half on yesterday. Not too long, but I just literally went line by line for 3 months and wrote everything down.
Wow.
You were very
You
organized.
notice I started coughing when she talked about a budget?
Yeah. There's the budget and then there's the budget.
But I think that's a great way to go about it, Star. And we should reevaluate that. We should. And by the way, how many times have you found something on your credit card that you're like, what is that? What am I paying for? Right. So it is really important that you do that at least, every I would say quarterly probably is the best way to do it. I think Robert and I, we were talking about this, how we've kind of reevaluated and started to pre-qualify people and also start to adapt offers, right? Like I really realized that there were some offers that I had out there that were not in alignment with what people needed right now. And
Yes.
Something that we were just talking about, and we're going to be transparent. This is uncensored. Okay. We're just
talking unplugged.
is giving people a little bit of homework to do before they come back and have a bigger conversation about working with you. Because the worst thing for us is bringing people into a coaching program or working alongside people in a business and they not show up. Right. And we're giving you all the action steps. We're giving you everything that you need to build a business or to be successful in what you're doing right now, but you're not taking action. And we can't do that for you. And I've seen this, by the way, it's like an epidemic right now. And it's really interesting because I'm starting to read a lot more about mental health and how we're addicted to our screens and our youth and all these things and how it's like taking away our ambitions. And it's like putting us in this place of depression and anxiety, and people are staying stagnant and they're not actually doing what they need to build business. And, it was even transparent this week. I did an event, and Robert, I'd love to hear about the events you got coming up today, but I did an event about recruiting, the ultimate recruiting boot camp. And, and I've even put out some challenges for people and nothing's coming back. I'm like, guys, like you got to talk to people and you got to invite people and you got to have serious conversations about business if you actually want to grow it. But people aren't doing the do. And so if we keep showing up for the same people that aren't participating in their own life, it gets really frustrating for us. And so we have to reevaluate, where can we actually help people? And a lot of the times it's here. It's the focus that we need. It's the mindset that people need right now. And it's actually being in their corner, cheering them on and like leading them side by side, as opposed to painting this big picture that maybe they're not quite ready for yet because of things that are standing in their way.
Right.
And Christina, I think it's important to note that the way you want your clients to show up in your coaching containers is how you need to be showing up in your containers. Same thing with your downline. I know you guys are into that. How are you showing up for your downline? You want your downline to be doing all these things and selling and making all this money, but what are you doing actively in your business? So you have to be doing exactly what you want your clients doing and be a reflection of that.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad. I mean, all of you actually made a statement that was pretty profound. I'm going to kind of squish all that together, because what I've actually found in the last, I've always known this, but I've really started to kind of refocus as well in the last 6 months. And I realized when you look online, right, when you're in business and you look at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, anything, there's a ton. I'm going to say probably 95% or greater of all content is built around marketing, right? How to get more by doing X, Y, Z. And the reason why I find this so fascinating is because really marketing as a whole in your business is never going to, and I'm going to state this as a fact, never going to be as effective until you yourself are in full alignment with mindset, heart set, and soul set, or whatever other passion truly drives you, right? Who you are and to who you truly want to serve really should be something that you need to take the time and evaluate. And that really kind of feeds back into everything we're talking about. And that's one of the things that I went backwards on. And I realized, why am I teaching anyone in any type of business model to just sell and get more when they truly don't have their heart in it? They haven't figured out, who they truly are and what are some of the obstacles that are holding them back. So when we talk about cleaning and cluttering your business or your financials or your budget, let's also turn that internal as well and say it's a great time to sit there and go, where's my mind? Where's my heart? Where's my passion? Maybe I don't have the same passion in my business today as I did 6 years ago. And that really means that although I'm looking to seek that same kind of value to my client, I should turn that, internally and really figure out what I want to do as well.
And Robert, one of the things that I'm seeing is that some people have a decline in business and that's actually discouraging them. So it's not that they're not passionate about their business, but they're like, I should quit because I'm not seeing anything happen. And I think it's very important to note that. And Christina, you talk about this all the time as well. Stay consistent now. Things are not going to permanently be this way. So when that shift occurs, your business is going to be booming and thriving.
Oh, 100%. And I've seen this time and time again. I've been in an industry that goes around the clock, right, for the last 8 years. And so what I always see every year is the people that take the summer off and then they're like, where's my business in the fall? Where is it, right? And the same thing goes for the people that come in and really put their nose to the grind. I said that. Yep, I used that. When they come in and they do that in September, October, November, December, that fall, that last quarter of the year is what will determine your 2025. And so many people are like, well, the kids are back to school and then Christmas is coming and Thanksgiving and and they fall off and they don't have the discipline to be consistent during that time. And then they wonder why it's such a slow start in January, because they've got to start then when there's those of us that understand this process. And even though summer can be busy and we take some time off and we ebb and flow with what needs to happen, we're still consistent and we're still driving the needle forward and we're still planting seeds for business. And it goes into the fall. That's what feeds the fall. And then the fall is what feeds the coming year. And how you start that year is usually how you end it.
I love it. Seasons. We should have called this just seasons. This is really what it's all about, right? There's a season for all things. The other thing, I'll shift to a point in regards to the topic of just like getting caught up. So when you come back from vacation or maybe a little getaway or even just a break from your business, when you come back, a lot of times you still have all these bullet points. I don't know how you manage your day to day, but a lot of times I have priorities, and then the other things are kind of a wish list that I just keep carrying forward, right? You start to really reevaluate that as well as far as getting caught up, and you realize a couple things. One, from a fresh perspective, it doesn't even need to be on my list anymore. If I've moved this forward so many times and it doesn't have a long-term goal, I'm scrubbing that, right? I'm scrubbing that right out. And the other thing is this something that someone else, can I leverage this really quick? And can I have someone else help me with this? And I did do that with one particular task, right? I'm working on a new marketing piece that I've been messing around with. And I finally just said, why am I doing this? I can pay someone $250, right, to really quick throw this marketing piece together. And if they even don't see my vision entirely, they're willing to keep tweaking it until we're in alignment, right? So why am I sitting here at my computer for a full day when I can just outsource that?
And, I'm always talking about teams. We talked a little bit about this last week. So one of the things that I'm working on with my clients right now is bringing in a team member that's going to be doing some of that work. And I think right before we hopped on here, we were talking about people feeling a sense of entitlement and not wanting to do all the work. And we can dive into that deeper. But if you're not willing to do certain tasks, pay somebody to do that, just like Rob said.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a secret, actually. Like, honestly, if you have a hard time, like, let's just like put that out there. If you have a hard time reaching out to people for your business to solicit business, get somebody else to do it and set the appointments.
Thank you.
That is so true. And yeah, and even if you want to dive deeper, going back to what we said earlier with the pre-qualifications.
Yes.
You can put as many metrics and measures as you want in there, right? And so if these are people that really aren't even sure what they want to do, maybe their first step is just a free course or an ebook that you have, or a low cost maybe a book or a piece of content that you can provide them with to really like make sure that they've kind of had this discovery, and not that it isn't a good thing, because that's all valid and you want to do business with those people, but you also don't want it to be kind of this anchor on your time if they're still in the process of figuring things out, right? You want them to have a little bit of that discovery on their own before they actually come to you with any type of an action plan.
And that's the great thing about having tools in our business. With the systems that we use, we can go in and we can actually see how much progress they've made. Did they actually watch these videos? You can even create an entire automation to see what percentage of the video they got through, and
exactly
have your application process in place.
Right. We were just talking about that, right? I have a free it's like a 4-module course that's free, and I'm using that now as more of a discovery piece. And I'm finding that a lot of times, just based on time, people aren't getting through the 4 modules, which really, in the 4th module, there's the major call to action and saying, now that you've done this and we've kind of got our first steps into your blueprint. So now let's get on a call. And it's because most people have great intentions to want more and to do more in their life and business, but we have so many distractions. Kind of phases right into our next point. We have so many distractions that pull us away from that. And let's talk about that. Let's just talk about what are the things that are preventing us from, especially coming back from summer or whatever it may be, but just day to day, what are the things that are preventing us from being truly, at our most optimal performance?
Right now, I am putting together systems. I'm putting like a lot of systems in place and a lot of automations, because I'm doing a lot of the things over and over again when each new client signs up and I get a new book client or new collaboration or whatever. I signed 3 new book clients this week, and I'm like, I need to systemize this.
Congratulations, though. I mean,
you need to systemize
it. That's a perfect way of looking at, yes, you should be hands-on initially in your business so you can understand like where your time is spent. But like you said, those are things that are repetitious. Like, how can you onboard someone more effectively when you leverage team? And I'm even like, we're discussing that, like the 4 of us are discussing some of those things, like future looking. How do we as a team leverage our skill set so that, we really bring more value, and we're leveraging time when it comes to onboarding a client?
Yeah.
I find a lot of people too will use the exact reason why they do their business as the excuse, right? Like, oh, I'm so busy with my kids this summer. I'm so busy with them in the fall. They're going to sports or this or that. I'm so busy. And the number one thing that I do with my clients in the beginning is tell them to clear their schedule. Like, you need to clear a spot where you're going to be intentional and work and focus. Mm-hmm. If you could hold focus.
It's that word right there, the focus, that I am struggling with big time in the last.
Well, you've got to you've got a wedding coming up, but then you got to pay for the wedding, and it goes back and forth.
It is.
And it's not even the wedding.
Time money.
Everything else. And then plus I'm going through some things, and my brain fog is off the chain.
That's the hardest. I think that's really that really is what it comes down to. But Tina, you're not the only one that has brain fog. You're not the only one that goes through this. Like, man, where am I going? We're in a world right now that is totally overstimulating us. Like, we're not supposed to know. Well, in Canada, you can't know global news anyways. We're not supposed to know.
We're not supposed to share global news outside of Canada. If it happens in Canada, stays in Canada.
Well, soon everything may be censored, so we'll see. We may be the censored entrepreneurs before you know it. So yeah.
To God, not.
We get blocked.
That's really what happens, is that we're getting information all the time from different sources, whether we unplug from the news, whether we unplug, we're sitting in the car and listening to the radio, or we're getting it from our neighbors, or we're scrolling through social media. And there's so much distraction. By the way, The only two things on this planet that are addicted to screens are ants and humans, right? So like we'll pick up and we'll be addicted to our screen and we'll be scrolling because we get these dopamine hits after dopamine hits after dopamine hits, and we're not focusing on the tasks at hand. We're just wasting time. And like I'm not immune to this. You're not immune to this, right? So it's like really truly digging into habits that are going to serve you, that are intentional about where your activity lies. And it is not easy. I am not a perfectionist at this. I'm constantly reminding myself. I'm constantly setting alarms, right? But if you could just stay focused, the people that stay focused over the next 5 years while we grind through this, economy and go into an election time where everybody is being distracted, right? By the way, you have your elections this year, next year, right? So everybody's being distracted by that and this and opinions and whatever. And it's like, man, if you just stayed focused on one thing. And the other thing that I have to say, because Robert, you brought this up earlier, you have to be willing to say no to stuff, right? Like as you become more successful, you get more offers and more offers and more offers. And I'm really guilty of this because I want to say yes to everything, but you really have to pick and choose what is going to benefit you and your business the most, and where you align yourself and where you spend your time. And I definitely overschedule when I shouldn't. But that focus and being so diligent about which way you're moving forward and just putting these blinders on and not paying attention to anything else.
I am so glad that you set alarms, because literally right before I started, I said, hey Siri, set alarm for 9:30. Hey Siri, set alarm for 12:55. Hey Siri, set alarm for 1:55. Hey Siri, set alarm for 2:25.
I think I told you all, I live by that.
I'll start doing laundry or start doing something, and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yep.
I live by that. And the other thing, I'm sure other computers have it as well. It's just one feature that I love with Apple and Mac specifically is they call it focus, right? Focus. And so not only do I have all of my
turn yourself on focus mode.
But they link together, right? So literally, yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. I wish I could, but I do this constantly. So when I actually have like planning or deadline, dates, or when I have to be in front of a screen, or I'm helping someone actually create a course or helping them with a coaching session, I'm starting to now put that focus, alert in there so that it actually blocks out all the other distractions. It is so easy. And you know how it feels when you're intently just pouring your heart out to someone in a meeting, and they do one of these things like, okay, yeah. And then they look down real quick and they're like, just a minute. And they reply back to a text, and they're sitting there. And now I think you can set the stage, right? Meaning like my daughter is in emergency right now. We're trying to figure out, how many fingers she broke, kind of thing. Like that's something that I could do to set the stage with a client so they know I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah.
But so often I think we need to really have more intention. And it comes back to what you said, Christine, like focus. Focus and intention are huge things, not just in your life, but the people that you're speaking to, right? Across the desk or screen from you. And so the other thing that I just want to kind of feather into that is what I call it take 5, but essentially it's like, okay, the other thing when you're coming back from vacation or you're kind of pivoting or you're adjusting things in your business, really find time to, and that comes back to kind of self-focus, but take 5 minutes here and there, like plan that. I used to be so bad at this. I'm trying to get better, but I plan my meetings line on line, right? And so often you're talking to someone and you go 4 or 5 or 10 minutes over. And I've even been like where I'm like pushing it out. Hey, I'm just finishing up a call. Can I push you out like 5 minutes? Are you good? Oh yeah, no problem. But that becomes kind of perpetual. And next thing you know,
and you're 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes. You've lost an hour of your day, right?
Yeah. And that's why I started putting in buffers. I used to do the same thing. So now I have buffers, 15-minute buffers before somebody else can book in a call, because I know that call may go over by 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. I need to get a glass of water and so forth. But I think it's also important for us to have those schedules in place. Like you're saying, Robert, when you guys were talking about the distractions, I was going to say my 9-year-old son is a distraction, but he's not really a distraction. That's my child, right? So when he comes home from school, I know Robert and Christina, you guys have incredible girls, and I don't know if it's a boy or girl thing, but my son still tantrums and gives me like a hard time. You guys know I always talk about this. So I have to take time for him, and I know that I'm going to have to help him. Now I'm helping him with homework because he has a very regimen. He has a system where he has to do homework every day, whereas last semester he didn't have to. So we're getting dialed in on that. So now it's like, I used to take some calls in the evenings at certain times. Now I'm just like, no, that's just not an option because I know my boy's going to cry today at some point, even if it's for 2 minutes.
I know he's going to break down at some point.
Yes. And then I'm going to be stressed out and I'm not going to be able to respond to my
I think it's a boy-girl thing because
It is.
when my boys were home, I literally had to stop everything at 2:50 when they walked in the door first to get their stuff in, get them sat down at the table, give them a snack, let them unwind, tell me everything that happened at school. This person did every single thing that happened at school, and then try to get them on their home. I mean, like, okay, focus, come on.
Yeah. That sounds like me. That sounds like me before we start our show, every Thursday, right? I mean, you guys are typically trying to get me to calm down before we go live, and that's that's how life works. But no, it probably is a little bit that way. I know it's
live yet because we need to go live.
Yeah, I know it's a personality thing as well. One of the things too, let's just talk. We talked about it a little bit, just kind of coming into it, but let's talk about like shaking off the rust. Meaning, and that means a lot of different things, right? It means projects that are stagnant that maybe you should pay more attention to. It also means things that are just sitting there that you should clear completely off of your calendar, out of your projects list, and many other things. And
the one just need to suck it up and do it.
Yeah, right. Some of it is exactly that. It's the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz, right? It's like, okay, I need to start.
I just need to freaking do this.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some things can you think of something specifically right now? I have an example that I'll give, but what about each of you right now?
Mine is taxes. I hate like Excel spreadsheets, and I just need to invite Star to my house for like a week so she can just do them all, because she'd be like, ooh, I love it.
I don't know if Star loves that.
I don't know if I love spreadsheets. I do use them though, but
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you love it.
For that, I have a spreadsheet for this, and I have a spreadsheet for that.
For Star, I believe it's more about the reward of what happens when she is organized and she gets that off of her plate, right?
Well, so everything else in my life is organized. And things on my taxes are organized. They're in list. They're just not out of the list.
I think you should just hire someone, Tina. Just hire someone to do your taxes. Forget it. Then you won't hate them anymore, and then it's not your nemesis. Because I was the same way. It stressed me out.
This is such a creative. I can't.
That's what it is. You're creative. You're creative. Yeah.
Don't do it. and so here, Tina, hire someone to do your taxes. And then the other side of it is, look, the marketplace is changing. It changes like 3 to 6 months right now. Like, it is absolutely what people need, what's going on, the focus that needs to be had, right? And so every quarter I'm looking at, how do I evolve my programs? How do I evolve for the market that's right in front of me? How do I call in new people? What's my automation you're setting up a lot of automation right now, Tina, right? And I really believe, I was saying to Ryan, like, this is what separates the men from the boys, right? And he's like, oh my God, Christina. But I was like, it is. It's like when
you're hanging out with us too much.
But it's when you actually start putting these systems in place, and it's like the people that dabble are the ones that are like flailing and trying to find everything. And then the people that finally get their act together, like a grown up in business, and do their spreadsheets and do their automation. And guys, it takes a long time.
Tina, be a grown up.
It's time and money. It's time and money that most people don't have to reinvest. And most people look at the time and they're like, this is going to take me so long, but they never get started. And so they're pushing that year that it might take to evolve, or those 2 years that it might take to evolve their business. They keep pushing it out because they're like, that's going to be so much work, instead of running towards that work and taking it in bite-sized pieces.
And you don't want to be forced into it. I was audited several years ago by the IRS, and I was like freaking out, like, oh my God. And it wasn't until then I thought I had a good accountant, to come to find out I didn't. So after that, I had a bookkeeper, and I had a professional who's used to working with IRS, because he had to go through the whole process with them for me and represent me. Now everything is like so clean and smooth. But what I did find, Tina, even with the bookkeeper, is that like most of our line items are going to be the same every single month. It's going to be rare that we have something different coming into the business. So once you tell them that, okay, this is this type of expense, they know how to allocate most of them. They may question you about a few, you let them know. And they even have really affordable bookkeepers I've seen on Fiverr as well that can do all that for you. You're not stressing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Sold.
what, go ahead. What's that, Tina?
I said sold.
So exactly, right? Time and money. I mean, it saves you time and money in the long run, even if it doesn't feel like that on the
You
front.
do. You need to stay in your lane. You know, just like you said, stay away from those distractions. But you also need to stay in your lane. You need to stay focused on what you were meant to do, what your purpose is. You can't be the accountant and the marketing and the
Right.
appointment setter and the house. You know, like you can't be it all. Although a lot of us would like to be.
Yeah. Well, think about what you said. Think about what you just said earlier, because I'm more of a creative as well. I mean, I do a lot of other things. I do some structural, operational stuff in business as well. But I am, I have a passion around the creative side of business and entrepreneurs. And so when you stated that, like that's what makes you tick, right? You already know not only is it something you're passionate about, but it's something that you can monetize because you're passionate about it, right? You can't monetize your taxes unless you plan on opening your own tax business. So push that off your plate and move it somewhere else. One of the things I'll throw out there in regards to kind of shake off the rust, and I was saying it before we went live, I have found that in this new way of doing business where everyone's complaining their businesses are shutting down, their products or suppliers are shifting gears, and they no longer have the same compensation plans as that they had before, or agreements with JV partners, whatever it may be that's kind of shifting your business around. I'm finding that the way I did business 5 or 6 years ago, like I hate to almost say this, pre-COVID, right, as the same way that I'm integrating back into my business today. I had so much more drive. I had so much more real human connection back then when I was speaking live on stages, traveling across the United States, launching new books, right? We talk about that, Tina, like new content, new ideas, the way that I really want to present myself and the way I want to serve the people that really are in true alignment with me. So I'm doing that now. And I'm finding that, locally, I'm starting to do a lot more speaking engagements. I feel like now I have one going on, at least, probably two, maybe 3 a month.
Do you think all the live stuff is coming back?
Yeah, well, and whether it is for everyone or whether it is just in my specific, a niche, I find as a coach that my human need, the desire, the connection with people is bringing more value. So I may not be automated in the sense that I'm pulling in a ton of prospects like I did before, but just by having a few true intended conversations with people, speaking from stage live, shaking hands, going to mixers and networking events, and actually talking to people about their business, I'm having less, how should I say, exposure in that environment than I was online, but I'm closing bigger deals and deals that are more intentional, right? People that I want to work with. I mean, in all honesty, I would love to scale the coaching side of my business down to really 12 or 15 major clients, right? A year, where before I thought quantity was more important than quality. Unfortunately, we were kind of all pushed down that rabbit hole, right? Like automation, sell a course, sell 1,000 pieces of this.
Right.
And that drives you crazy. And as you said earlier, Christina, content and business already changes every 2 to 3 months anyways. So why not be more intentional with your relationships?
And you're getting exposure, Robert. So you were forced into the online space because of COVID. Now you're able to expand and get back to your true roots. But for those of us like myself, I don't really do it live, but I do it online. So how can you get more exposure is really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And right, it's different for every person, but it's really understanding who your true tribe is.
Yep.
Not that you need to advertise to the masses, but like who intently needs to hear what it is that I have to offer and how I can solve the problems in their lives. You become more intentional and more in alignment with that, then you find that that's the space you should be in. Do I need to be having 20 conversations a day, or do I really need to just have 2 really good value-driven conversations every single day?
And what about your events, Robert? Were you going to share them with
us? Yeah. So I mean, I've got all kinds coming up, right? I have 2 today. One's just a quick little
And
intervention.
it's already almost 2:00, and he has 2 events.
I know. It's a little mastermind drop in. And then back to back, I'm going to an event tonight. It's so cool. And I think it's in full alignment with what we just talked about. This one's called Better. It's a group called Better Together in Greenville, right? And their event is called Hello, My Name Is. And it's really just featuring, speakers that can provide value to business owners from all walks of life, right? So whether you've got a brick and mortar, whether you've got a coaching business, whether you have an online marketing business, whatever it may be, just creating more value. And so, me, I'm always out there just pushing more things around brand strategy. And I think that in itself is needed more than ever before. As we stated earlier, there are too many people that are focused on the marketing aspect of your business, how to sell more, when they really haven't even figured out who they are, what are the objections in their life, what are their passions and purpose, who they're in alignment with, and who they want to serve in a true, intentful way. I think that's more important than products and services.
Most definitely. We're all quiet.
You were waiting for more of the rest of my talk. So no, but expand on that a little bit. So like when you think about that, are you finding that you're kind of stepping back and looking at the way you used to do business, or you're kind of shifting things around a little bit?
I'm shifting everything.
Looking, yeah. To see, where like I'm all into the systems right now and automation. Like, how can I automate that? How can I automate that? How can I automate that?
And I think, having multiple streams of income, we preach about this all the time, but having multiple streams of income allow us to ebb and flow with the economy, with people, right, with their needs, their wants. And sometimes we lean more heavily into other businesses when it makes sense, when you see the need in the marketplace. And so sometimes we do have to evolve, and we have to say, hey, we're going to shelf this for a little bit. I mean, I just went through a radical transformation because I had a baby this year, and I was like, I'm going to intentionally. Yeah. Did you remember? Right. But like, I'm going to intentionally take a little bit of a step back, because I want to be present with my son. And I'm doing that until after we get back from Europe in the beginning of October. And that was intentional. And by the way, that was really hard. As an entrepreneur, that's really difficult to give yourself the grace and the time to be present with your family when you're totally motivated to move forward all the time. It is a delicate dance, but I had to continue to remind myself that this is why I do it, right? That this whole point is so that I can take time off, so I can be present. And it doesn't mean that I'm not doing stuff in between, right? Definitely have my weeks that I've like planned out. Okay, I'm going to do a workshop here, and I'm going to do this at the end of the year, and this is going to lead into 2025. And it's not that I'm not mapping out what's coming next. It's that I'm being so intentional about where I'm spending the amounts of time that is going to give me the most bang for the buck and impact the most people, that sometimes we have to evolve in that space. And it hasn't been easy for multiple reasons to stay on top of some of those things. However, it's really given me clarity on where I want to be going in the future.
That's what it is. It is the clarity piece, right? Yeah, you're right. It's clarity. It's perspective is key in your business. Like realizing that you've got all these ideas, but like truly, what is it that I should be focusing on like right now? Right? What is it I want to do today? The last thing I'll kind of wrap up with, since we're talking about getting back to business after summer, and kind of going all in, is I think a great thing that you can do, a key point, is plan your next trip. And the reason why I want to put that out there is that
vacation. Speaking of which, we won't be live next week because Robert will be on vacay.
Yeah, but really, I believe that Kelly and I have made that a big part of our life, traveling. Sometimes there's business trips where we're traveling somewhere and we're still on our laptops, and then other times, we do try to unplug from time to time, especially intentional with the kids. But I will say, yeah, but planning that next trip or that next vacation or whatever it may be,
it gives you that motivation. Right?
It's the reward, right? It's the reward of
60 more days until the vacation. I don't have 60 more days. I just got to work and work for 60 more days, 58 more days, 56, you're like counting down.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Kelly can definitely relate to that. She's in more of a structured environment, right? I'm in a little bit more of a fluid environment than she is. And so for her,
young kids, you can also tell the kids, listen, we're going to Europe or we're going to Disney. Just
Right.
mommy has to work her butt off to do this. So
That's what it is.
Calendar, 55 more days, and then you can kind of get them involved in it and tell them, listen, we're doing this. I used to do that with my kids.
It sets the expectations. We're going to work hard and we're going to play hard, right? So, I mean, that's the reward at the end of the tunnel. What are some other things? I mean, anything else that you guys want to add to this list of what you're currently doing?
Q4 is always the best, most of the time, the best time of the year for people to purchase things. So I suggest take time into the next month, maybe 6 weeks, like before September 15th, to get your marketing structured for October, November, December, for those holidays that are coming up. Get those, Black Friday sales produced or whatever you're promoting on Black Friday, and get all those holiday things coming up and get them all organized and out, so then that way they'll be good.
And as a coach, since the four of us are in that space, I will also say you find that you have an increase in purchasing products. You have a decrease in scheduling like actual coaching sessions per se, because everyone's busy, right? It's the holidays. And so you're right. This is the perfect time to really set up everything so that, you're kind of in, I don't want to say automated mode because we're not fully automated, but really setting yourself up for that going into Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else. So.
I want to make just a quick note on the book your next vacation, because that is so how I'm motivated. But I think that setting appropriate rewards, right, is such a great way to be able to go for what I like to call a run, which means that I'm focused and all in and really, really busy for a small amount of time. And then when I hit my goal, then I give myself this whatever it is on the other side. And even doing the things, like we all have things in our business that we don't like doing, right? We all have things that we're like, I got to do that today. Or, it's like the tedious stuff that doesn't really light our souls on fire. And so what I've done is give myself a small reward. So I'm like, hey, if I do this first thing in the morning, it takes me 20 minutes. I'm going to walk the dog and go get a latte because I'm going to treat myself to a latte, right? Or if I, do this chunk, then I'm actually going to take an hour and go to the beach and put my feet in the sand and give myself that break that I need.
But don't you do that every morning?
But I also am diligent about doing the work first. I eat the frog first and do what I don't want to do first.
I did not eat the frog today.
Well,
and I'm going to add, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I want to add that I've been focused on the past year and a half on monthly recurring revenue in my business. Yeah. So for me, that looks like selling a software that doesn't really require my time. I have a tech support person that helps my clients. I've also, I have opportunities where people can promote in my Facebook group. So I get paid monthly recurring income from that. And I also make monthly recurring income from affiliate commissions. So
very nice.
Free money there. And then I also promote other products as well. So I love getting that passive income on a monthly basis from 3 different sources.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that sets you up, right? It sets you up so that you have the time and the freedom that you intended to have when you started your own business.
Yeah.
And
there are opportunities that work with your business that don't require your time, where you can actually be bringing in that additional recurring income every single month.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, follow, like, and share if you're watching live, or if you're even coming on later on at some point on a replay. Follow, like, and share us. We're across all social media platforms. You can also find us on Apple and Spotify, Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you next week.